Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the A New Day Show. As always, it's an honor for me to be on this broadcast with you this evening. Home here at Comcast in Danbury, and I'm super excited because we are now in Cromwell. We are out in St. Louis, Missouri. We are here at home on Comcast, and we are also on Charter in Newtown. So it is really an honor. If you have family in any other towns or state, would you arrange to have us in their homes so that they too can be benefited from the empowerment that you are so blessed to be getting in your homes? With me here this evening is an amazing woman of God. She is doing a lot of amazing things, and I am going to get into conversation with her. First, we are going to be hearing her story and some of the trials and tribulations that she has been through and what is keeping her alive now. And after the first segment, we are going to go into the second part of all that she's doing now, and you will be blessed to experience her music. So grab your water, grab your juice, whatever it is that you need to drink, because I don't want you to go anyplace else for the next 30 minutes. So again, welcome wherever you are watching us from. Oh, we are also in Bridgeport, and we are just so excited to be spreading our wings all over the state. So, Angie, welcome to the western part of the state. I know you traveled the haul to be down here, but thank you so much. Would you please look in this camera and just introduce yourself to the viewers? Tell them a little bit about you, where you came from, where you were born and grew, because you are not a native of Connecticut, but you are now calling Connecticut
My
home.
That's right.
So, yes.
Well, my name is Angie Collins. I'm a singer-songwriter from Huntsville, Alabama, Southern Belle. Here in Connecticut by way of travel nurse. You know, you have to have a skill behind you. So I am a nurse, and I did come here as on a travel assignment. But the Lord has been blessing the music ministry and the body butter and the different things that the Lord has given me to do.
Wonderful, because a lot of times we say we're going on this journey, but God always has something entirely different for us. But the important thing about all of that is that we take action when we are instructed to take action.
That's right.
Because, you know, as I listen to your story more and I talk to you and all of that, I ask myself the question, if she had not followed through on the instruction to come here as a travel nurse, would she have been involved in her music and all the other things that you are now doing? Do you feel as if you were still out south, you would have been doing all that you're doing now?
No, and you know, it's funny that you mention that, because you know we just had the tornadoes come through, and I lived in an area in Alabama where the tornadoes hit, and they actually showed that on television.
Wow.
And there were 2 houses remaining. Now, and I thought about that today. I said, Lord, if I'd have stayed where I was and had difficulty, didn't want to have to move, you know, but God saw to it that I did have to. He ordered those steps. If I'd have been sitting there at this season, at this time, I might not be here now.
You would not be sitting right here right now.
I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
It's like we went fast forward, but we're going to go back.
Right, right.
You are sitting here now, strong, transformed, empowered, and all of those amazing things.
Praise God.
It was not always this way.
No.
So let's go back to the beginning and talk about some of the things you encountered that had other people encountered the same thing, they might not be around to tell. Let's talk
Well,
about
Dr.
some of those
Daphne,
things.
I have to start at the beginning. You know, the beginning when I was born. Actually,
Yes.
I was adopted. My biological mother left me in the hospital when I was born, but she gave me the name Angie, Angela, which means messenger of God. So, make a long story short, trying to fast forward a little bit, my adopted parents, I love them dearly. Valerie and Joe Whiteside were beautiful, beautiful Christian family. Mama wasn't a big churchgoer, but she was the kind of person that stayed on her knees and she read the Word of God. Now, because I was adopted, I had a lot of issues coming up. And you know, a lot of kids do when they're in the system. I was thrust in the system at birth. So therefore, I grew up with system mentality.
That's right.
Before I was adopted. So I was bad and I rebelled. Everything she tried to teach me, I swear, Dr. Daphne, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be a superstar. I wanted to sing. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be Whitney. I wanted to be Shaka Khan, Aretha,
Everybody
Billie Holiday, anybody but what my mother wanted me to do.
Kite was opposing what she wanted.
That's right.
Children.
Yes. So my mama stayed on her knees while I fled to California.
God bless mothers.
That's it. And so I ended up going back home after I had been strung out in California. California is a mean city, honey. That's a tough road to climb right there. So I ended up drinking, doing a lot of alcohol, party life, doing drugs, doing whatever I was big and bad enough to do. And I wound up back at home. When I got home, I decided, well, I'm going to leave again because I still wasn't settled. My mama stayed on her knees. Wound up marrying my husband, which he was very much an abuser. And ended up going to nursing school after he went to prison. Now, he stayed in prison for about 3 years, and I stayed by his side every weekend. Dutiful.
What did he went to prison for?
He went to prison for drugs. Actually, and it's old news, but the police actually arrested him on somebody else's warrant. Yeah.
How that happened?
I don't know how it happened.
God.
I believe God knew how it happened.
How to get him out?
One of the arresting officers, quiet as kept, was a preacher. He was a minister. I'm telling you, I really believe that God knew from the time I was in my mother's womb what he had ordered for my life.
Of course, that is always.
And I believe that that God just orchestrated everything just to get me to a safe place.
Yes, to rescue
because
you.
by him being arrested, of course he wasn't charged with that warrant, and you know, everybody makes mistakes at times, but you know, he was arrested, he was set aside so that I could go back to church.
Ooh, Lord. Look at that.
And I went back to church. I began to go to church every weekend. When I couldn't see him on Saturday, I'd go to church on Sunday. When I had to go see him on Sunday, I'd go to church on Saturday. But every single weekend, I was in somebody's church getting the word of God, and my mother was still praying. You see, my mama's a wonderful, she's 99 years old, bless her heart.
Wonderful, wonderful.
But you know, at the same time, God orchestrated those steps and put me at a place where I had to look up and see him. I had dropped out of high school, so that means I had to go back to school. When I went back to school, I went and got my GED. I locked myself in the house for a week, and I studied for that GED, and I went to nursing school, but that wasn't it. Because of the past and because of all of the alcohol abuse and the DUIs and the public intoxications and all this old stuff, I had a hard time at first when I went to nursing school. Now, my nursing instructor, because they do a background check, you know, and I'll never forget her long as I live. She looked at me, she told me, she said, Angela, you can come to school. She said, but I don't believe the state of Alabama gonna let you write the boards because of my history.
My God. Isn't that something?
I said, you know what? The devil is a lie. I said, God told me to become a nurse, and I'm going to become a nurse. By the
Wow.
time I graduated from nursing school, the president of the college, the pastors, 4 mothers of the church, my mother at home, my father, wrote letters to the board. And Sister Marvella, she's a minister, she's an evangelist. She went up to the board. I had to go to the board of Alabama 3 times before they let me write the exam.
Wow.
3 times.
Just because of your history.
Just because of
Isn't
the
that
history.
something?
Just because of the history. Now, I had been clean and sober for 4 years before I went to nursing school.
But they would never let you let go of your past.
No.
Isn't that something?
That's how the devil is.
Yes.
The devil loves to throw the past in your face, to put you at a place where you can't excel. You feel
That's
like
right.
I'm going to always be
Always
here.
be that.
But
Yeah.
no, the devil is a lie. And from that, the Lord has opened up doors. I've been a nurse now 19 years.
My God.
And God has blessed me to be able to sing to my patients, to be able to take care of my patients with love, with kindness, concern, and compassion.
And
And
had
I
you,
thank him for that. I just do.
after you passed the boards, had you gone back to visit that instructor to let her know?
Well, no, I hadn't seen her in years.
Wow.
I hadn't seen her. She's retired now.
Wow.
But she wrote a letter too.
Okay.
She was very proud of me.
Wonderful.
And you know,
wonderful.
and matter of fact, I was a secretary body too. So I got an award for that.
Beautiful.
My
beautiful,
first job at Huntsville Hospital got an award for customer service.
Beautiful.
God just orchestrated.
Yes.
He
yes.
just orchestrated.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of times God, like I say, God already knows what our paths are supposed to be. Because-
Exactly, and that's why he uses us in such powerful way, because he's not looking for the good person, because he's not going to get any praise.
No.
But when he picks you up out of the dump
Yeah.
and brush you off,
And brush you
it's
off.
like when I was riding down here with my friend today to the studio, I was sharing with her about a man that bought a $3 piece of artwork at Goodwill and was able this past Saturday to sell it for $190,000.
Oh, you kidding?
$3
Oh my goodness.
for $190,000.
Wow.
And that's what God does to us. He take us out of the bin at the thrift shop, and he put us up there on the auction
Yes, yeah.
circuit,
Yeah.
and people can bring in good money for us. Because he doesn't want the good, he doesn't want the clean, he wants all the riffraff and the refuse.
That's right.
And that's why you can always give him the praises, because if he take the good and, you know, Miss Goody Two Shoe and Mr. Goody Three Shoe and all of that, he's not going to get any praise, because
Right.
everybody know, oh, they're always good, they're always
Right.
good, they're
Right.
always good,
Right, right.
you know. So it's, what would you say, in spite of all the things that you have gone through, what gives you the determination and the will to continue?
I tell you, I just believe in the power of God. I know that it can be very difficult. It's challenging now. I have a record label, a small gospel label.
And I don't want to go there now, because we're going
Okay.
to do that in the second one. I
Right.
just want to continue on your life story
Right.
from then, and the nursing
Right.
and the abused husband and all of that stuff.
Right.
We're going to leave the record label for the next, because that in itself is an amazing thing. The writing and the music is going to be the second segment. So
Okay.
let's keep
well,
on here.
Well, Dr. Daphne, all I can say is the power of God. Because, see, he gives me my strength. Because when we are weak, he's strong.
That's right. That's right.
And
That's
he
right.
enables me to continue on, no matter what happens.
That's right. Would you say during those times when you were out there, you know, when you went to California and you was doing all the big bad girl things that, you know, do you think God was there with you during those times?
I know God was there with me. There was, I cannot think of this little man's name, but there was a man that was on the radio, same time with Billy Graham was out a lot. And my mother used to listen to his radio show all the time. Matter of fact, he would go through the Bible every year. He'd go through the whole Bible, and she would study with him every time. And I remember one time, little short guy, he was real tiny. And I remember one time in California, I'm running around and cute with my little mini skirt on, and I bumped right into him. I bumped right into that man. Because when he opened his mouth, because he prayed for me right there.
And he prayed for the length of the ministry.
He prayed for me right there. But
it's just you knew the voice, right?
I knew his voice.
My God, from the radio show.
From the radio show. My mama listened to that radio show every single day. She didn't miss a day. And I'm serious. I said, oh my God, that's you.
So what did he say when you said that's you?
He just prayed for me. And shortly after he prayed for me, I was on my way back home.
Wow.
You see. And it's a blessing because it's so many people. I had a friend who stole my ID when I was there. And I just called my mother and spoke to my mother. And the sheriff department called my mom, maybe about 30 minutes after I got off the phone with her. And they told her, they said that your daughter is in the morgue.
She said, no, I just talked to my daughter.
She said, no, I just spoke to my daughter. My daughter's not in the morgue. The girl that stole my identification was killed.
Wow.
And she was in the morgue.
My God.
So, you know, it's just like, Lord, you have covered me from the time I was a little bitty girl. And I just, when I get discouraged, I'm going to tell you, when I get discouraged, I think about all of the trials I've been through.
Where you have been, because we tend to forget so easily. We don't remember where he has carried us from all this time.
Right. But see, the thing is if God wasn't going to see you through wherever you are right now, whatever you're going through right now, he wouldn't have saw you through back then. He'd just let you go.
That's right. That's right. You know, but a lot of times as people, I think we always tend to forget the history of the struggles we encountered and how we came through. We always get stuck on just this one right here in front. It is as if it's the first time we're going through issues. And a lot of times, the present issue we're going through is not halfway as intense as what we've been through. But we don't always remember.
No.
But I want to go back on when Mr. Wright, Mr. Husband, was in the prison, and you said you dutifully went every weekend.
Every weekend, didn't miss a weekend.
And what was that like for you going there? Did he know that you were thinking of exiting out of the relationship?
No.
Let's talk about that.
I couldn't tell him that. He was very abusive. As a matter of fact, he threatened me. That's the reason I married him. He threatened to kill my family.
And although he was still in the lockup, do you still felt compelled that you had to go see? And I guess because as an abuser, your program, and you're not looking to say he can't do anything when he's in jail, but when he comes out, he can. So you still felt you had to go as a wife. It's your duty to go visit him.
It was my duty.
And act like the wife.
That's right. I was raised, my parents were married 64 years. So I was raised to be a wife, actually. And when he kidnapped me, because he kidnapped me, and he put a knife to my throat and beat me and did all kind of heinous, crazy things for years. When he did that, he terrified me, and he threatened to kill my family. So I just went along with the program to keep everything nice and quiet.
Angie, you said something that I want to ask you to expand on. You said you were raised to be a wife. What does that mean? How do you break that down?
How do you break that down? Well, my mother, for instance, she raised me to be able to cook, to be able to clean, and by her example, the way she treated my father as his wife, she was cultivating me. That's what mothers do. You cultivate your children, your daughters, to be wives, to be mothers, business women, whatever the case may be. My mother was a medical technologist. She also ran business. And she took care of her family. She took care of my father. She saw to it his dinner was ready. So that's what I did. I did just the same thing my mother did.
Interesting, because as we are sitting here today, do you still think, and do you have children?
No.
Okay. But all of what you just report to me or replied to, let's say you had a daughter in 2012. Do you think you could still raise your daughter to be a wife?
Could I raise my daughter to be a wife? I could teach my daughter all of the things it takes, like cooking and cleaning and sewing, taking care of the finances, because a lot of times women have to do that now. Taking care of a business and taking care of your family.
However, these things that you just mentioned, you notice I asked if you could raise her to be a wife, but you went into teaching her to be. So you didn't answer what I asked you. However, you are just teaching your daughter to be self-sufficient and to be reliant, self-reliant. You are not teaching her to be a wife. You see the different mindset?
Well, see, my mother was a wife, but my mother was independent. My mother had her own car and wouldn't let my father drive it. My mother ran the business.
Right.
And my father did what he had to do as a provider. You see, what it is I guess they accented the positives in each other, and they worked well together as a team.
Right.
But my mother, she taught me how to sew, she taught me how to clean, she taught me how to cook.
To be self-reliant and self-sufficient.
Okay, not to be a wife.
I don't think she grew you to be a wife. And you
Okay.
just came around to that.
Okay.
Because you know something? A lot of the brothers who are out there saying the same thing that you're doing, and they come home and they take up that remote control and they throw their feet up on the table and they're waiting on their dinner to be, and girl, I love and respect you, but it ain't that way no more.
Oh.
You know, until I hear they start raising the men to be husbands,
Yeah.
all those things
But
your
my
mama
mama had a
taught you.
husband. Do you understand? There must be a difference.
There must be a difference. Your mama has a husband.
She had a husband.
Do you have a husband now?
I don't. I'm
You
divorced.
see what
yeah.
I'm saying? And we're not beating up on the brothers. However, I just need clarity in these statements.
Okay.
Because all those high qualities that your mama rooted in you is to be a great individual, a self-sufficient woman who has resilience, power, empowerment,
Go
and
ahead.
transformation.
Okay.
That's why she put all those stuff in you, not to be a wife.
Okay, all right.
You know, it so happens that all those qualities, the man that truly deserves you will be able to enjoy the value it brings to the relationship.
Okay.
You see the difference? Because we want our girls now to be all of those things, but not because she is being groomed to be a wife, because what happens if she never be a wife? You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
She's still going to have to be the best Daphne she can be,
That's
the
right.
best Angie she can be,
That's right.
whether there's a man around or not.
That's right.
We must love who we are.
That's right.
Because unless we are enjoying who we are, we can't deposit value into nobody else's life.
That's right.
So it's, you know, that's a whole different 10 show for another time. But,
Okay.
you know,
Uh-huh.
so how did you get out? We have another 4.5 minutes. How did you get out of that relationship?
All my church family moved me out. He went to Memphis.
He came out of jail and went
He
to Memphis.
came out of jail, beat me up the night he came out of jail.
It's not funny.
Well, it's true.
All that visit, you go visit him, and the first thing he can do when he come out is beat you.
Yes, that's the first thing he did.
My God.
And my church family moved me out. They moved me out. When he came back from Memphis, I was gone.
What did he go to Memphis for?
His mother.
To visit her. Prayers were answered.
Yeah, they were, but you know, see, yeah, they were answered. But you know, the devil have a way of trying to hold on. So while I was working, he found me. I was driving down the highway, and he found me going into my
After
new
they
apartment.
move you out.
He found me, he trailed me. He stalked me for a while. And he was so strung out on drugs himself. At the time, I worked at a chemical dependency hospital. You see, God is merciful in everybody. He even loved him. You understand? So the Lord impressed upon me to take him to treatment. So I had to toughen up and hold my ground with him. Because when I was removed from that situation, it gave me strength.
Yes, yes.
And when I saw him, I was like, you better not come.
Woo, girl, you got some ground.
You know, I was like, okay.
That's right now.
And so he was like, you know, they always forgiving and flowers and all this kind of thing. But I told him, I said, you can sleep on the couch, and in the morning I'm taking you to treatment.
Oh, he came to your apartment?
And instead of acting crazy, calling the police, the Lord handled it. Not to say that that would work for everybody, but I went in and I took him to treatment. And at treatment, I left him at treatment.
Well, we have only a minute and a half remaining.
Okay.
And this is such a rich, powerful story that we could really go on and on. But what would you like to tell men or women who are experiencing any kind of abuse now? Look in this camera and give them the message.
I want to tell you that God loves you. And I also want to tell you that there is a balm in Gilead. You can get out of any situation. Any situation. Every situation is not the same. What worked for me may not work for you. But there are resources available. And can I give them my website?
Yes.
You can go to MalachiPublishingLLC.org for more information if you're in a domestic situation and you need help.
Wonderful. So again, I thank you guys, and thank you, Angie, for, being so transparent in sharing your stories, because it is by us sharing our stories and our journey that helps others to heal. And I just want to thank you for doing that. There's someone somewhere out there who needed to hear this. And for those of you who tune in, I hope that you are able to get something that adds value to your life. I want you to share it with others, especially our young people, because they need to know what it means to treat the opposite sex with respect. So if you know somebody else that needs to hear it, encourage them to listen to that, and also ask us to re-air it so you too can be able to pass that along to somebody else. And stay tuned, because we are coming back with part 2 of Princess Angie, and you'll get to hear her angelic, melodious voice. Stay tuned.
Thank you.